Hello, hello, hello. We are back and I'm back in my normal. I have gotten back and I am excited about that. How are you? I hope you are awesome. I hope you are changing. I hope your fresh start is manifesting your new image that it came to bring. From yesterday, those that were with me yesterday, are your words condemning you or is it someone else's words condemning you? Are your words condemning you? We left off yesterday talking about what you say, what I say about ourselves is the words that we live by, especially when we get up in our maturity and understand some things. It's what we say that starts the ball rolling, okay? I'm Shauna Grace and I am a certified life coach and I love helping people. I deal with two specific areas. One is relationships and the other is the self-esteem in terms of you looking at yourself and going by how you feel, how you think about you, not what other folks say, but what you say. We left off yesterday talking about uh, your words, and I gave you the example of what had happened to me, and I love sharing parts of my life that I can share with you because I want you to understand the passion behind uh, my session with you. Now, some people don't have a problem with this, none at all. And I appreciate you stopping by, but I know you're going to move on and find a podcast that speaks to a issue you do have. Okay, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. But those of you all who struggle in the area of thinking good about yourself, thinking that you are just as good as the next person, analyzing what you're saying to yourself. Okay. I want you, I want you to understand that this is very important and you must do this. I know what this is about because I came to this conclusion and I didn't come to it by myself. Daddy, and if you've been following me, you know I call God Daddy. Daddy brought me to this. It was like he was so tired of me going by what everybody else was saying and how I had been raised to feel that I was beneath others and I wasn't as good as anybody else and all of these types of things. Okay. And he just one day, one morning, he got in my prayer and boom. And I was like, okay. And when he said, I'm going to reset your life, I mean, he said it with this vigor. And I was like, okay, and what is about to happen? But I can tell you what has happened. My God, what has happened. Hmm. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I hope you have your mug. I've got my mug back. Every day is a fresh start. And we had faith in a couple of my other ones while I was away, which takes yeah, which takes precedence too. Okay, but at the same time, excuse me, uh, I hope you have your favorite beverage. And if your mug doesn't say anything, it's just your mug, then I want you to uh, share that with me as we sit and have our session. But I shared with you yesterday how it felt funny for me to start believing I was beautiful. It felt funny for me to start believing that I'm good as everybody else because I was raised that I was below everybody else. Okay. Um, I was told I was as good as everybody else, but I was treated as being below everybody else. And the folk that did that kept it hid. Okay, they kept it hid. But here's what I want you to know: the person that has to live with the words of people who are very prominent in their lives, that's whew, nobody knows what that does to a person. Okay, nobody knows. But now, mm, 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 just to talk about it, y'all, whew, just to talk about it, that now I am able to know whether somebody else says I'm beautiful, I am. Now to know whether anybody else makes me feel like I'm on the playing field, ain't nobody better than me. I'm just as good as the next person. Just to know that I feel that way. To know that I can look at myself and say I'm beautiful, whether I have makeup on or not. Now, you all have seen me with makeup. I don't really wear makeup. I don't. I wasn't raised in makeup. Um, the woman that raised me, because I told you I'm an adoptee, the woman that raised me used to wear makeup, and then the ministry she joined, they didn't wear makeup, so that was the end of that. And she never, only thing I've ever seen her in was lipstick. I guess she had mascara on, but she was such a pretty woman, she really didn't need it. And I've been told the same thing. I wear it, I try to get into wearing it. But let me tell you the main reason that I don't. Let me take a side road here. The main reason that I don't is because I'm believing Daddy to send me one of his earthly kings who has his heart about me, who treats me the way he treats me. And he's not going to wake up every morning once I'm Mrs. Whoever this is. He's not going to wake up every morning to Maybelline, CoverGirl, Wet n Wild, and Elf and all the rest of these folks. No, he ain't gonna wake up to that. He gonna wake up to what you looking at right here. This is what he gonna wake up to. So if he falls in love with me, then whether I have on something or I do not, it's not gonna make a difference because he didn't fall in love with my face. He fell in love with who I am. And I focus more on the beauty of the inner being than I do the beauty of the outer being. Okay. So that's me. That's me. That's why I'm here and I don't, really do all of that. One morning I might get up and, and you all be like, whoa, okay, that's pretty. But see, I had to come to the maturity that whether I have on anything or I don't, I'm still pretty. I'm still beautiful. I'm still a queen. I'm still phenomenally awesome. Why? Because I was created in the image of my daddy and my big brother. So I feel good about myself with or without. I'll put on my Carmex, keep my lips moist and from peeling and all that kind of thing. But other than that, I love for my hair to be good now. If I'm having a bad hair day, I'm gonna put on my turban, and I have some beautiful ones. But no, mm-mm. Because I now know, with or without, I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful. Okay, and that's what you got to know. Listen, we went to Matthew 12:37 yesterday, and I want to add Proverbs 18:21 onto this today. Matthew 12:37, King James Bible. This is what it says: For by thy words thou shalt be justified. Now, other translations say will be, some say are. I like are because that is always in the present. He told Moses to tell Pharaoh when he asked who sent him, tell him I am, not I was or I will be, I am. Okay, sent thee. Now, with that said, the King James reads explicitly like this because I said yesterday, it said it another way, but this I'm reading explicitly. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, Matthew 12:37. And by thy words, thou, not somebody else's, yours, thou shalt be condemned. And that's why I asked, are your words condemning you? Are your words, not somebody else's words, your words, are your words tearing you down? Are your words making you feel that you're less than, you're not good as, you're not beautiful? What you're saying about yourself is that's because what everybody else says, it has no effect until you agree with it and start saying that yourself. Once you say it, then once you say it, then you wind up living and walking in what you said. As long as it's what everybody else says and you don't agree with it, you don't repeat it, you say, no, that's not me. I have a different definition of me. Then you none of that bothers you. Now, if it's coming from your inner circle, yeah, it'll sting, but because you know different, their words are not going to have an effect on you. And then you're going to start cleaning out your inner circle because you don't need anybody. We talked about this. You don't need anybody in your inner circle that doesn't say what you know. Okay, they don't look at you the way you look at you. You don't need nobody in your inner circle like that. Now, the folk on the street might have that, but your inner circle, the people you spend your time with, invest in, that you all are bonded and connect. No, honey, no, 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 no. Mm-mm, 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 mm-mm. Okay, and then Proverbs 18:21 says this, King James Version: Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. They that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Death and life lieth in the power of the tongue. Death and life lieth in the power of the tongue. So now, are you speaking death to yourself? Because for years I did. And that's why I didn't get anywhere. Nothing happened. And when I say I didn't get anywhere, let me change that. Forgive me, Lord. Scratch that from the regular blood of Jesus. Okay. Take that off the records, angels. That's why I didn't accomplish as much as I could have Thank you, Holy Spirit. See, that's why I have to have my daddy and Holy Spirit. His mind has talked to me. I didn't accomplish what I could have accomplished. Okay. Because all I had grew up with had got embedded down inside of me. Okay. Had got embedded down inside of me. And excuse me. And it getting down inside of me subtly. See, people don't just come at you. Oh, you ain't nothing. You ain't no good. What? They don't do that. They don't do that. Don't do that. They very subtly. You have parents tell their children, I wish you were never born. You have parents tell their children, you so terrible. You have parents tell their children, you just like. And sometimes I have said it, but I've said it when my children got grown. I said, you know what, the older you get just like your father. And they'll look at me and they say, no, ma, no, ma. And I don't buck it because I taught them. And then it's amazing how we can teach folk what we don't use ourselves. I poured into others who felt like I felt. And I told them, what are you thinking like that for? What's the matter with you? Yeah, what they said. That's the magic word. They said. I'm telling them what I'm not even listening to myself and using it for my own life. I made sure everybody else understood, but I didn't take that same medicine myself. I didn't invest that same wisdom and knowledge into myself. But now, hey, woo, honey, I don't care what nobody says about me. Say, honey, have at it. Have at it. Because what I know about me is what matters. And what I say about me, you can have any opinion of me you want. And I'll tell you, well, that's your opinion of me, and I'll leave you with that. And I'll walk on off. I sure will. Mm-hmm. I sure will. I walk right off and smile and be just as nice, won't raise my voice. But what I know, because I walk in what I say now about me, and I'm not speaking death anymore, I'm speaking life. I'm using my words to justify me. That same word I've been reading all those years in the sanctuary. Listen, that preachers preach it, talked it to other folks. Now, for some years now, I've been feeding me. And I'm telling you, if I was a crying person, my face would be wet right now. I'm not. I'm sorry. My mama told me she used to be so scared for me. She said, because I would whip you and you wouldn't cry. Mm-mm. Now, when my daddy whipped me, I bet you I cried. Yay! But I've never been a crying person. Well, honey, when you see some tears coming on out, woo, it's something traumatic. But I cry inside, tears inside. I wish you could feel in here. Tears are just flying because I'm so excited to be thinking like this about myself now. Okay. I am so excited to be thinking about myself like this now. So excited. I'm so happy. I am so happy. And I'm happy because I've matured out of others' validation. Hear me. Hear me good. I've matured out of others' validation. I go by my validation now. It's what my daddy said about me. I say what my daddy say. Because see, a child, the seed of the seed of the father is implanted in the mother. So even though the child has two DNAs, the dominant DNA is the father. Because the father's DNA was joined to the mother. The mother carried the seed of the father, and it became a child. Okay? So that father, that seed of that father is the identity of that child. Now, that child has characteristics of that mother, have ways of that mother, because most time the mother raised the child. But the spirit, the seed of that child is that father. That's why women, you better be careful who you marry. Check out the family. Check out the bloodline of the men in that family. The father, the grandfather, the great grandfather. You better check it out. Of that man you about to, excuse me, join yourself to and wind up with a child. You better check it out. Because let me tell you something. I can tell you from experience. You don't want it. You don't want to just go down the aisle and don't check nothing out. You don't want to do that. I was 18 when I first did it, never got off the ground. Never. So, excuse me, what I want you to do is to start agreeing with the seed of your father. Because even though we have earthly fathers, daddy is our main father. His seed is the first seed that came in us all the way through Adam. Okay? So we got to go back to what he said about us. And that's what we have to live in, is what he said. It's what he said. I had folk, and I still have folk, who think the worst about me, talking to other people as though they think the best about me. I grew up with that. That's how they kept it hid, how they really feel about me. They've got folk fooled like no end. But you can't talk good about somebody behind their back and in front of their face. You treat them the opposite of what you talked about them, how you talked about them. And then, see, the folks that believe it is the folk that don't see how you treat that person. So they believe what you say. But the person that lives it knows whatever they hear. I've had folk tell me, oh, they said this and they said that. So that's okay. I said, well, because you don't know the truth, they can say that to you. They won't say it to nobody that know the truth because they know they shut them down. Because the first thing somebody would ask that know the truth would say, well, why don't you treat them that way? I hear what you're saying, but why don't you treat them like that? And they don't want to hear that. So they don't talk to people that know the truth. They talk to people that don't know. So they can paint this image. And that's what you have got to understand. You can decipher behavior from talk when you get to say your own words about you. Your own words. And why would you speak words of condemnation? Why would you speak words of death about yourself? Okay? Why would you do that? Why would you do that when you can speak words of justification and words of life? Because let me tell you something. Whatever you speak, and let me finish the rest of that verse. Proverbs 18:21. B was what we would call it. The ending of that verse says, and they that love it, death or life, shall eat the fruit thereof. If you speak death, you gonna eat that. Excuse me, you're gonna be walking around here wondering why your life is not like, not flourishing like others and things like that. Not that you're comparing yourself to others, but it's what you're saying. You're speaking death. Somebody come tell you, why don't you do this? You got these skills. Oh man, hush. Oh girl, gone somewhere. I can't do that. I don't even know the first thing about the YouTube University. YouTube University. Hello. Pull up YouTube. How to and what do whatever it is that you know. And sometimes it's just one or two things to do and bam. But do you do that? No. No. Now I want to tell you something. You need to understand. You need to understand that your words are the words that matter about you. You can go to the doctor. I'm a living witness. And the doctor can tell you, well, this is what we found. Give you a diagnosis, tell you what's going to happen. Okay? Tell you what's going to happen because of this diagnosis. Now, you can accept it and die quickly. Or you can say, Doc, I hear you, but I got another diagnosis. They may ask what is. No, we ain't going to get into that. That's between me and my Heavenly Father. Now, if they are a believer, they'll be like, oh, I know where you're going, and I come in agreement with you. I'm just giving you what the science says about it. But I come in agreement with you about what God says about it. A lot of believing doctors, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. But here's the thing. Excuse me. Here's the thing. Your words. You can't spend your time saying stuff to condemn yourself. And I give homage to my children, especially my girls. My boys were talking to their daddy, but my girls were talking to me, especially that oldest one, my oldest child, the one that made me a mother. She stayed on me. She don't have to stay on me now, but back when it was, I couldn't see anything good because of how I was raised, how I was treated. I was raised good, protected, fed. I don't know what lights being out is. Don't know what no food is. Don't know what not having clothes is. I didn't get all of that until after I got grown and got out of my own life. Okay. Then I started finding out what that was all about. And I'm glad. I didn't like it, but I'm glad because now I know what people deal with who are really trying to work and provide. And sometimes things just happen. Okay. But She started on me. And she told me, she said, I'm not going to get up off of you until you get this. She said, Mama, you too beautiful. She said, and my God, look at all you got in you. She said, that I can't go nowhere and somebody don't know you. I said, well, honey, I ain't been all over the world. She said, you ain't, but who you are have. I said, oh, well, okay. Mm. Now, you see that response right there? That response right there say, well, okay, if that's what you say, I don't believe it, but okay. Because why? I was still going by what they said. You remember we went over that Matthew 16:13-16, when Jesus asked the disciples, what's the word on the street? What did they say? Then he brought it into his inner circle. He said, but what do you say? And when Peter said, oh, we know who you are. You're the Christ, Son of the living God. What? Excuse me. We with you. We don't, they're not with you. We with you. We know who you are. Jesus knew his inner circle was who he could keep around him, because their opinion of him matched his opinion of him. And I'm saying that to you. He wouldn't have known what to think had he not had his own opinion of himself. And that's what I'm telling you. And you must have opinions that confirm, justify who you are. You must have opinions that speak life, not death, so you can eat life, live, be vibrant. And somebody might say, well, I'm just not all of that. Okay, well, then be softly alive. Okay, be softly alive. All right, be softly alive. And what I mean by that is, okay, you're soft. I have my late husband, bless his heart, my late husband, soft. Now, trust me, he was a man now. If I ever lived with a man, he was it. And he the only man I lived with. Now, I've lived with something that had a pair of pants on. Okay? That happened at 18. And I had no business standing in front of altar at 18 talking about I do. And really nobody had taught me what I was getting into. And I had no understanding of what I get into. And it never got off the ground, and it does not exist today. But the man I married, and when I say a pair of pants, I probably need to change that, because it was a man, and it was a good man. It just wasn't good for me. Okay? The person they had fell in love with, they never got over them. And what happened? And I was just a rebound woman. And rebound women, no, we never get what we're supposed to have, because we were a rebound. Okay? So that's that. But the man that I married, he was an older gentleman. But when I tell you he was a man, he was a man, honey. A man. And he was a man. He was a man. Soft, didn't talk, very little. He was, yeah, you right. Yeah. That's what that's what that's what I had for 23 years. But when I tell you he was a man, he was a man. Okay. He taught me things without teaching me things verbally. He taught me things behaviorally that he never opened his mouth and sat down and told me. And see, I'm a person, I can pick up. I can pick up. And I wish I'd have known that about myself when I was picking up all the negativity and the condemnation and the death that was being spoken over me and being shown to me through treatment. To ignore that and pick up good, pick up life, pick up justification, affirmation, positive. But I didn't know. I didn't know. And next week, we gonna deal with this because it keeps coming up in my spirit. So I know somebody needs this. Being so invested in loving others that you don't pay attention to how others are invested in you or the lack of the investment. Next week, we going there. We're going to finish this week out with our words for ourselves. But next week, we going deeper because I lived this too. I was so focused on loving people. I didn't pay attention to how they were not loving me. And then I made excuses. Well, they don't know. Well, they didn't grow up with it. I did. So, have at it, whatever. But when people get a certain age, those excuses don't work anymore. But that's next week. That's next week. This week, we're going to finish out. I want you to really focus on your words. Are you condemning yourself with your words? Are you killing yourself with your words and eating that death? Notice it said, and eat the fruit thereof. Eat the fruit thereof. Okay? And they that love either the death or the life is going to eat the fruit thereof. Death is a fruit, life is a fruit. And it's only your words about you that are going to activate your thought process about you and your lifestyle. Only your words. And are you condemning yourself? Or are you loving yourself? What are you doing? What are you doing? When I began to reject the condemnation, when I began to reject death, that's when I began to live. That's when I began to live. Mm-hmm. That's when I began to live. That's when I began to live. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, the life I live now. You say, oh, you got a brand new house? You got a brand new car? No. I still got my same home, my same car. But what is so, I don't know what to say. What is so awesome? What is so awesome is my inner person is now alive. And I'm affirming my daddy's words about me. I'm doing it. Doesn't matter if anybody else do it. I'm doing it. And it feels so good. And I want you there as well. Okay? I want you there as well. And I'm going to talk until you get there. I didn't have anybody talk to me. So I was late getting there. But I want to help you to get there early, okay? Join me tomorrow. We're gonna talk some more about this. And I believe you're going to start just having a good time with life. See you tomorrow.